with. You know, I don't think that my spouse necessarily is ever going to wear antenna in the airport, okay? But he's a great one for finding jokes, and I subscribe to Good, Clean, Funny Laughs, and, you know, I download a good, clean joke every day, and I print a lot of them for him, and he's known for bringing them into work. See, that's what you do. You've got to all find what it is that you can do. What's your comfortable? I know a CEO of a company who wears wonderful, beautiful suits, and if you look very late at his ties, he shops at the Disney store. And they look really, really nice, but, you know, they've got all different characters in them. And other people do it with their socks, you know. They might wear two different, or they may buy, right now you can find a lot of really fun socks out there, so. It's what you can do. You know, for women, it may just be a pair of earrings that are actually...
Sure, there's all kinds of little things we can do to be... You could wear goofy underwear. I mean, nobody can ever... But you would know it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, let's talk about what more gifts you're going to get. So we got.
And before you do that, let me... For those who weren't here at the beginning of the show, this is the Inevitable Success Show here on Real Coaching Radio. And my guest today is Barbara Brannon, the president of Playmore. And that's exactly what we're talking about today, about how playing actually makes you more productive, creates better environments, and contributes to your overall success. So that being said, back to you.
All right, we're going to go back to the gifts. If you, again, think about, I want you to think about your workplace as we talk about these next gifts. Play brings joy. And is there enough joy in the world right now?
No.
No, absolutely not. And this is, you know, we're in a holiday season, so a lot of joy is coming out, but we need to hold on to this 12 months a year. We really have to get it in. So when we get that joy and we go play, remember how we talked about we get that perspective? It clears our thinking. Play is like a cobweb cleaner, you know? You know how you get a rag and you clean the cobwebs out? Think of play the same way. If you're feeling like your brain is foggy and things aren't clear, you need to find what your heart play is, or that 5 seconds of play if you're at work, and let it clear out the cobwebs. Play brings you energy. Another one of our gifts. Play makes you curious. You start doing with something. You know, there's an old joke that you give a kid a stick and a stone, and they'll figure out how to play with it. We're like that as adults, too. Just give people something that's playful and fun, and start talking about the topic or the problem you're trying to solve, and all of these things come out. I love to put Legos in people's hands. I love to put Play-Doh in their hands while they're working on really serious things. It's fascinating to me to watch how, as they work with their hands, what comes out of their mouth, how their brain begins to move from that left side to the right side, where we want them more, you know, that whole brain. We want that whole brain thinking. We want all that knowledge on the left, but we want the right as well. It brings wonderment. It brings pride. And here's a great one. You know what play does? It connects people. And we need to connect right now. Plato told us that we can learn more about a person in 1 hour of play than a year of conversation. So here we are in our work.
Interesting.
We're in our workplaces trying to know people better so that we can solve problems and get things done and create. Go play with them for a little bit. You're going to know them so well. They're going to know you, and then you're going to be able to have that energy, remember that other thing, to do that creativity to get it done. Do you see how this all comes together? Everybody should be looking like this.
You know, again, you saying that, it reminded me back 20-some years ago when I was in the Peace Corps in the Philippines. I went through a kind of stretch where, like, life was just kind of blah, and I was kind of, I guess depressed is the word, you know. And all of a sudden, one day it just hit me as like, you know, you haven't done anything fun in like 2 months. No wonder life is looking pretty bleak, you know. So I went out of town and, you know, went and all of a sudden everything changed because I just played. And I hadn't played in a while, and surprise, surprise, life was kind of not fun. You know, when I saw it, it was like, well, gosh, how obvious is that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
but it's an easy trap to fall into because we're busy and we're got our jobs and families and all this, and then to make time to go play and have fun.
Yeah, it also moves us. You know, we need to move sometimes. We're stuck. We're just stuck in life, and play is really powerful for just moving us.
Sure. I like what Sherry said, play the universal language, right? Because you know, you could meet somebody who's you don't speak a word of common language, but you can still play together, and as you said, create connection. And
yeah, absolutely. And that is perfect, because we could play without having to actually speak. If we just started, doing whatever with our hands or with a ball. It brings out our imagination. That's another thing it does. It also relaxes us. Oh, can we use some relaxation? You go and play. When you're finished playing, you just feel that whole sense of relaxation. And probably the last thing is it saves us a therapy appointment.
There you go.
Yeah, you may still have to go, but you can probably save one appointment.
And a doctor's appointment, very possibly.
Or several of those. But I want to give you a real story about play at work so that people will understand how powerful this can be. And this happened more than 15 years ago, so it doesn't relate to the current economic environment, but it's exactly what's happening. This organization at that particular time had 2,000 employees, and like we're seeing now, where we're seeing a lot of different things happening around us which are causing businesses to slow down or change how they do business, this company got hit with three things all at once that really, really brought their revenues down, the amount of money that was coming through the organization. The financial people ran all the numbers and said, okay, 400 people will probably have to be laid off. Now, how often have we heard that in the recent weeks, okay? Now, I happened to be working there at the time, and I felt that just going to that conclusion was a little too quick. And part of it was because I didn't think we had applied the 5-second rule, which means that we hadn't really stopped and just played with it, even for 5 seconds. And again, people, when they get stuck with these really heavy-duty things, say, but it's serious. This isn't the time to laugh. This isn't the time to play. What will people think of us if we did that? And that is not what I want you to be thinking about. Here's what happened. Determined that 65 of the directors and managers would be brought together and told about the layoffs and then go back into their various units and do them. But I was convinced that that was not the right thing to do. So I snuck in the room before the bell came in to make that announcement, and I handed something to everybody, and I asked them to keep it in their lap. I knew he would come in, he'd work with the computer, getting everything ready, and then he would turn back around. And when he turned back around, and by the way, these 65 people played along because they did not know why they were there. They might not have if they had known, but they didn't know. So when he turned back around, 65 people like the two of us right now. Now, do we look silly? We look really silly. You can't look at a room full of people, 65 in this case, looking like this and not laugh.